That's a really interesting question. And I think that's an area for a lot more research. But I'll answer it as best I can. The vast majority of abolitionists were not necessarily particularly friendly to African Americans. They made tremendous personal sacrifices to help end slavery and to assist fugitive slaves because they believed slavery was a sin and that they were compelled to take action to eradicate that sin. Once slavery had been ended, many of them felt their job was done and no further commitment to do anything to help integrate African Americans into American society or to stand up for the rights of African Americans when they came under assault during after the Reconstruction period. Now, on the other hand, many Underground Railroad participants, abolitionists, did go on, and they stuck with the commitment that they'd made before the Civil War. I mean, one example, a heroic man, Levi Coffin, who was a Quaker who grew up in North Carolina and helped organize the first and really the only documentable underground operation in the Deep South, which forwarded fugitives from North Carolina all the way to Indiana in the 1820s, 30s, 40s. Coffin then went north to Indiana himself and organized the Underground Railroad, or reorganized it in Cincinnati. 40 years, he worked for 40 years doing underground work. During the war and after the war, Levi Coffin worked with freedmen. He committed his life to assisting displaced former slaves. And many people from Underground Railroad families did go south, often as teachers. Some of them remained in the South for decades, to the turn of the 20th century, teaching in freedom schools, black schools, even under increasing assault from racist governments, anti-black governments in the South. It was a battle, and as we know, the nation failed. The nation lost that battle. Politicians surrendered in Washington after the 1870s what Northern armies had won on the battlefield during the war. I think the stories of many of those individuals who went south and stayed there, who were smeared as carpetbaggers and by other opprobrious labels, their stories need to be told better. I think it's an area we need to look a lot more carefully at.